Should you buy or rent? This question is popping up everywhere nowadays, and the answers are all confusing. I want to settle this debate once and for all. So, without further BS and prologue, let me provide you a simple explanation from the eyes of a property investor and based on my very own case. And then you can decide what to do. So look, there are two parts to this question. First is, do you want to live in this apartment or place that you're looking to buy? The second, of course, is do you just want to invest in it and have it as a business or just as an investment property that will generate you extra money? To answer those two simple questions, very direct and straightforward. For the first one, if you want to live in the property that you're planning to purchase, then probably you have to buy it when you are not even thinking about investing in property at all. And you don't want to have any hassle whatsoever with renting out your property and managing the tenants. And that's why only in that case you actually buy that property, live in it, and just pay your mortgage payments instead of paying someone else's rent. However, at the same time, if you have some extra time and interest to manage the property, then instead of buying it for yourself, consider buying something smaller or even 2 units for the same down payment price that you would pay for the property that you will only live in and rent them out. In that case, you are remaining to be a tenant and you will pay for your property that you rent for a year or less. You will have all the flexibility to move out and change your apartments without having to sell it, while your 2 other properties and 1 property will generate you money besides the payment that you have to make for your mortgage. Let me tell you how this worked for me when I first did this. Trust me, I also wanted to have and own my very own property so I don't have to rent out and manage the landlords and all the checks and so on. However, I realized that it's just better if you have some extra time and desire to invest in smaller properties with smaller down payments, generate that money and use that money to pay your rent in the property that you actually want to live in. In my very own case, in this exact property, I am paying rent of around $1,800 per month. At the same time, I rent one of my 1-bedroom apartments for around $2,100 a month. My mortgage payment for that rounds up to be around $980 per month, which leaves me with a profit of $1,120 every single month. And that doesn't even include the principal that is being paid by my tenant. If we add the principal to the profit that I make per month, it ends up being at around $1,500 that is being generated by my investment apartment. So in this case, if we get back to my payment per month for this exact apartment that I rent, which is around $1,800, and we take the $1,500 that I make from the other apartment in profits, then I only pay for rent $300 per month. So while I am losing $300 for the payment per rent per month, imagine adding another investment apartment and that will add another extra $1,500 every single month, which will then put me in surplus of $1,200, which means that now I pay for my rent here the same amount and I own 2 other 1-bedroom apartments and I even make extra money. So I live for free just here, and I also look at my 2 other apartments that are growing in value, that are being paid by a tenant. The principal is being accumulated, and I also add up in my pocket $1,200. Now imagine if you do it over and over again and you have even more cash flow coming in every month. And that's the answer. I wanted to be as straightforward as possible with you because I just see a lot of BS and miscommunication and confusion throughout the internet. And I thought, why not? I'll just share my very own example and let you know how you should do it. So, in case you gather that deposit for your first initial apartment, think twice and maybe you can buy something cheaper while you can rent something better for you and also have the flexibility to jump into another deal to close that rent, maybe even upsize your apartment. And imagine that if you actually own that apartment where you live in, it would be so much more difficult because you have to move out, you have to sell it, you have to add more down payment to get a extra bigger apartment. While when you rent it and you have your investments aside, they make you money and you can just move in to anything you want. Which is why I don't understand why so many people are so worried about the place or location where they invest in their apartments, because it just doesn't matter. Because if those apartments make you money and they can be managed by a property management company, or even you if you have enough time and you can just have a check-in every couple of months to that apartment, then it solves the whole debate. I'm pretty sure I didn't reinvent the wheel or open up the encyclopedia for many of you, and I'm more than sure that many of you already do this. And I know from my own subscribers who reach out to me that many of them actually applied it and scaled it to a very, very high level that even I couldn't imagine before talking to them. However, my very own purpose in this video was to let you know why you should not buy an apartment where you want to live, at least until the time that you have some very much extra money that you can just spare on anything that you want and splurge on a beautiful luxurious apartment that you wouldn't really care about selling. You would have some other income streams and only then you can actually afford it. To be very honest with you, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. And by the time that I don't have that extra money that will just lay around, which most probably will never happen because I like my money to work, to put them to work and produce even more. Anyway, if that time reaches, then that's when I will actually look seriously into buying something for me, or also when I will have kids and we will just need a more stable place. However, even in that case, if the landlord from that apartment that I will be renting at that time will be fine with us having it for longer, or maybe we'll extend it for 2 3 years instead of one, then I wouldn't really bother. But again, not everyone is active and interested in being more entrepreneurial with their investments. So if you are not actually looking for that and you're not interested, that's also absolutely fine. And in that case, obviously, you should buy your apartment and live in it because you don't want to pay the rent to someone else. And although that's contradictory sounding from me because I'm actually being paid by someone else, as in my tenants, I'm trying to give you the information as an investor and how you should eventually do, at least in my opinion. However, now you have all this information, so you are ready to get in to those kind of deals and decide what's best for you. With that being said, this video was rather short. However, I really hope that you found it helpful, and if you did so, please leave a thumbs up below. All the comments, just drop everything that you have on your mind because I'm super curious every single time. Thanks a lot for all your support, and I will see you in the next one.